to Your Path to Career Success, the podcast that helps you build the skills, confidence and strategies to thrive in your career. I'm your host, Catherine, and today we're diving into a critical skill for every aspiring C-suite leader, commercial acumen. If episode 1 was about shifting your mindset from department head to C-suite leader, today is about making sure your language, decisions and influence speak the same language as the board. Because at the executive table, credibility comes not just from ideas, but it also comes from your ability to understand and navigate the financial and strategic realities that drive the business. Imagine this. Picture yourself walking into a board meeting. The CEO asks for your perspective on a new investment. The CFO is speaking in numbers, the COO is thinking about capacity, and the board members are focused on shareholder value. You start to respond, but halfway through, you realise your points are function focused. You're talking about things such as marketing metrics or operational efficiency or HR initiatives, depending on the department you're from. But the conversation has moved beyond departments. It's about profit, risk, growth and sustainability. And suddenly you feel that familiar twinge of doubt. Do I really understand what's driving this business at the C-suite level? If that feeling resonates, congratulations, you're exactly where most future C-suite leaders are. And the good news, commercial acumen is not innate, it's learned. And today we're going to break it down so you can start speaking the language of the board with confidence. So why does it matter? Here's the deal. Organisation leadership is about creating value for the organisation as a whole, not just optimising your department. And value is measured in financial performance, growth trajectories and strategic choices that balance risk and reward. Leaders who fail to develop commercial acumen often stumble in 3 ways. Number 1, they focus on functional wins rather than organisation results. Number 2, they hesitate in boardroom conversations because they don't speak the same language. And 3, they miss opportunities to influence critical decisions because they don't understand the levers that actually move the business. On the flip side, leaders who master commercial acumen confidently interpret financial statements, budgets and forecasts, understand shareholder priorities and strategic trade-offs, influence decisions across functions and at the board level, and see opportunities and risks before they hit the quarterly report. So what I'll share in this episode. Over the years, I've had the privilege of coaching leaders stepping into organisation and C-suite roles, helping them navigate the challenges of thinking and speaking like a true business leader. In this episode, I'll share why commercial acumen is non-negotiable if you want to be taken seriously at the executive table, how to read and interpret the P&L, not just for your function, but for the business as a whole, what boards and shareholders care about and how to align your perspective to theirs, the pitfalls that trip up even experienced leaders and how to avoid them, and practical steps to start speaking and thinking in organisation terms so your influence grows and your voice is heard. At the end of this episode, my goal is simple. You'll have a clearer understanding of how to approach decisions, conversations and priorities from a board level perspective and start building the credibility and confidence to influence organisational wide outcomes. So let's unpack what commercial acumen really looks like in practice. Number 1, understanding the P&L. The profit and loss statement isn't just a financial document. It's a story about how your company creates, delivers and captures value. Every revenue line, cost category and margin tells you something about priorities, trade-offs and where leadership attention is required. When you can read the P&L fluently, you're no longer just a department expert. You start seeing how things in one area ripple across the entire business. For example, an investment in marketing might increase customer acquisition, but it could also affect gross margins, strain operational capacity or impact cash flow. Understanding these dynamics allows you to make recommendations that are informed, balanced and organisation focused. Here's why it's important boards and senior leaders don't just care about whether your function is hitting its targets. They care about how your work contributes to the overall health, profitability and strategy of the business. If you can frame your initiatives in these terms, your voice becomes influential, not just informative. Practical ways to expand your P&L knowledge. Number 1. Break it down function by function. Take your department's numbers and map them to the overall P&L. Understand how your team's revenues and costs fit into the bigger picture. Number 2, track the key ratios. Learn a few critical metrics: gross margin, EBITDA, customer acquisition cost, return on investment, and see how your decisions influence them. Number 3, ask why repeatedly. When reviewing reports, ask yourself, why did this revenue line move? And why did costs increase? What trade-offs are implied? This builds analytical thinking aligned with board-level scrutiny. And 4, shadow or chat with finance colleagues. A 30-minute conversation can give insight into how they view risk, investment, and value creation. Over time, this fluency becomes second nature. And 5, practice framing initiatives in P&L terms. Before proposing a project, summarise it like this. This will increase revenue by X, impact margin by Y, and require Z investment, linking functional actions to organisation outcomes. So a quick reflection for you. It's time you review your functions budget or performance report. Ask yourself, how does this decision affect overall profitability and shareholder value? Which trade-offs am I overlooking? And how could I communicate this initiative to a board member in terms they care about? The more comfortable you become reading and interpreting the P&L, the more credible and confident you'll appear at the executive table, and the more influence you'll have over organisation level decisions. Number 2, seeing the business through shareholder eyes. Boards and shareholders have a very specific lens. They are focused on long-term value creation, strategic positioning, and risk management. They aren't concerned with whether your team hit last month's KPIs. They want to know how your decisions influence sustainable growth, profitability, and market competitiveness. When you start thinking like a shareholder, you shift from defending your function to advocating for organisation outcomes. You begin to ask questions like, does this investment align with our strategic priorities, or will this initiative strengthen our competitive position 3 years from now? So why does it matter? Leaders who fail to adopt this perspective often get stuck in functional debate. They may be technically brilliant in their area, but miss the bigger picture. On the other hand, leaders who consistently frame their work in terms of shareholder and board priorities gain credibility, influence, and the ability to shape strategic decisions. So here's practical ways to build on this perspective. Number 1, read shareholder reports and earnings calls. These documents highlight what investors care about, profitability, growth, and risk, and give clues on where to focus your strategic thinking. Number 2, add your initiatives to business impact. For every project, ask, how does this move the needle for revenue, margin, customer growth, or brand positioning? Number 3, practice storytelling in financial terms. Translate your team's work into outcomes shareholders value, ROI, cost efficiency, or market impact. And number 4, engage in cross-functional discussions. Listen to how finance, strategy, and operation leaders frame challenges. Over time, you'll internalise the language and priorities of the board. So here's a reflection. Next time you present an update or make a recommendation, ask yourself, if I were a shareholder, would I see the value of this? And how does this decision affect long-term growth and risk? Mastering this perspective doesn't just improve your presentations, it transforms how you think, prioritise, and influence at the executive level. Number 3, understanding market dynamics. No company exists in a vacuum. Market trends, competitor moves, regulatory shifts, and economic conditions all directly impact strategic decisions. Leaders with strong commercial acumen anticipate these forces rather than react to them and adjust plans proactively to protect and grow the business. For example, a new competitor product may force a pricing review, affect customer retention, or create operational bottlenecks. Leaders who can connect these dots across finance, operations, and strategy are the ones who influence outcomes and shape the business trajectory, not just respond to events. So why does it matter? Without market awareness, even excellent internal execution can fail to deliver organisational results. By integrating market insights into your thinking, you start making decisions that balance short-term performance with long-term strategic positioning. So here's some practical ways to build market fluency. Number 1, schedule weekly market scans. Spend 15 to 30 minutes a week reviewing industry news, competitor activity, and relevant macro trends. Number 2, translate market insights to your function. Ask, how does this trend impact revenue, cost, operations, or customer experience? Number 3, engage cross-functional partners. Discuss market shifts with sales, product, or strategy teams to see different perspectives and implications. And number 4, model scenarios. Consider what-if situations. How would a 10% drop in market share affect margins? What if a new regulation increases costs? So here's a reflection. Choose one recent market or competitor development and map out the organisation level impact across your function, finance and operations. How would you present your findings to influence a strategic decision? When you consistently integrate market dynamics into your thinking, you move from reactive execution to proactive leadership, gaining credibility and influence at the board level. So some pitfalls to avoid. Even experienced leaders can stumble if they aren't deliberate about developing and applying commercial acumen. Here are some common traps and how to avoid them. Number 1, overconfidence in numbers. It's easy to think financial literacy is just about reading reports, but numbers without context are meaningless. True commercial acumen comes from interpreting numbers strategically, understanding what they reveal about trade-offs, risk and opportunity. Overconfidence can lead to decisions that look correct on paper but fail in practice. So always ask, what story are these numbers telling about the business? What decisions should I be making in response? Number 2, functional bias. Your department is your comfort zone, but at the C-suite level, seeing everything through a functional lens limits influence. Leaders who focus solely on their own team risk creating silos and missing the bigger picture. So before advocating for your team, pause and ask, how does this support organisational goals? Am I prioritising my function over the business? And number 3, short-term focus. It's natural to celebrate quarterly wins. They're tangible and visible. But boards and investors care about long-term sustainable growth, resilience and strategic positioning. Leaders who chase only immediate results risk sacrificing bigger opportunities and credibility in the boardroom. For every decision asked, does this choice create value over the next 1 to 3 years? Am I balancing short-term performance with long-term impact? Remember, boards aren't primarily interested in what your team did last month. They're focused on the trajectory of the entire business. Avoiding these pitfalls isn't about perfection, it's about deliberate awareness, consistent practice, and framing your actions in terms of organisation outcomes. So here's some practical steps to build commercial acumen. Developing commercial acumen doesn't happen overnight. It's about consistent, deliberate practice. Here are 3 actionable ways to strengthen your financial fluency and influence at the board level this week. Number 1, review the P&L for your function in context. Take your department's financials and map them to the overall P&L. Ask questions like, how do our costs, revenues and investments impact the company's bottom line? Are there trade-offs between short-term gains and long-term value? And where are we creating value or risk across the organisation? Try to visualise your numbers in relation to the broader business. A simple chart or annotated P&L can make the connections obvious and help you explain the organisation impact to non-functional stakeholders. Number 2, translate departmental initiatives into organisation impact. Before your next leadership conversation or board update, reframe your updates. Instead of saying, we increased lead generation by 20%, try, this initiative drives incremental revenue growth, improves customer acquisition efficiency, and supports our strategic positioning in the market. And connect functional results to growth, risk mitigation, shareholder value, and strategic priorities. So practice framing 2 to 3 initiatives this way this week. Even small changes in language can signal a shift from function-focused to organisation-focused thinking. Number 3, follow the market. Spend 15 to 30 minutes a week reviewing market news, competitor moves and economic trends. Then ask, how do these developments affect our strategy, revenue and risk profile? Are these opportunities or threats we need to address proactively? Try to keep a market insights journal. Jot down trends, potential impacts and ideas for action. Over time, this becomes a valuable reference and builds up your confidence in cross-functional and board-level discussions. So why does it matter? These small deliberate actions do more than build skill. They signal to your peers and board that you're thinking at the organisational level, not just within your department. Over time, this fluency becomes a superpower. You'll anticipate challenges, influence decisions, and contribute meaningfully to strategic conversations. So which one of these 3 steps can you implement this week, and how will it change the way you contribute in leadership discussions? So today, we explored the mindset and skills you need to speak the language of the board and influence organisation-level decisions. Number 1, understanding the P&L as a story of value creation. You learned how from every revenue line, cost and margin tells a story about priorities, trade-offs and organisation impact. Interpreting numbers strategically lets you connect your functional work to the business's overall performance. Number 2, seeing the business through shareholder eyes. Boards and investors care about long-term value, risk and sustainable growth. By framing your initiatives from this perspective, you move from functional reporting to organisation influence. And number 3, connecting functional decisions to market dynamics. No business exists in isolation. Recognising how competitor moves, market trends and economic factors affect your organisation ensures your recommendations are proactive, strategic and high impact. Remember, commercial acumen isn't about memorising numbers, using financial jargon or impressing others. It's about thinking strategically, connecting the dots across the business and influencing decisions with clarity and confidence. Leaders with commercial acumen are trusted because they see the bigger picture and anticipate challenges before they arise. Your challenge this week is to pick one initiative that you're leading and reframing in terms of organisational impact. So ask yourself, how does this initiative contribute to growth, profitability or strategic positioning? What are the potential trade-offs or risks at the organisation level? And how would I present this to a board member or executive colleague to demonstrate value beyond my department? Then try presenting this in a meeting or even a planning session. Notice the difference in how people respond. The conversation shifts from function-specific updates to strategic dialogue about organisation outcomes. By practicing this small but powerful habit consistently, you start building credibility, influencing decisions, and speaking with the confidence of a true C-suite leader. If you found today's episode valuable, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a colleague who's making the same transition. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Catherine Hall, the Career Owl. If you want more resources to support your C-suite leadership journey, head over to www.thecareerowl.co.uk. And remember, this podcast gives you the tools and mindset shifts to step up into executive leadership. If you're leading leaders and facing decisions where the stakes feel high and you'd like more personalised support in applying these lessons to your own career journey, I've got 2 spaces available this quarter. I'll leave the link in the show notes. Now let me give you a sneak peek into next week. Episode 3 is all about shaping strategy, not just delivering it. We'll explore how to move beyond implementing plans to co-creating the business strategy, so you're not just executing but actively influencing the direction of the organisation. You'll learn practical ways to think, act and communicate like a strategist, so your contributions are shaping the future, not just reporting on the past. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. Thanks for tuning into your path to career success. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading and keep demonstrating your commercial awareness.